Hey, all, Mr. Thibodeau here. So let's go ahead and jump into our stuff here. So for the reading this week, it's not too long. We talked a little bit about the Silk Roads, and the Silk Roads are really interesting. They're really this great explanation and exploration of how trade makes everyone richer. Specifically, we have these goods in China that are more commonplace that are available, and when they're traded and they get all the way to the Middle East or even all the way up into Greece and Europe, they become crazy expensive. They become very, very valuable because people don't have access to them. And then likewise, things like wool, which is nice and warm, that the English and the Europeans have a lot of access to, uh, becomes very, very valuable here in China. Because it's nice, it's warm, it's itchy. It's not nice like silk, but it's a good practical thing. Um, so there is a lot of trade that happens now. Most of what happens, to be honest, is a lot of gold coming from Europe into China. China is definitely getting the better end of this deal in that they are ending up with all of the world's gold and all the world's silver for a long time. But there's a reason for that, and that's because the goods that China has, the silk, the paper, the lots of the inventions, the I guess China porcelain that they have, the cups, the saucers, all of these different things, these goods that are coming out of China are so valuable and so desirable by all of these folks over here. There's an argument to be made that when the Crusades happened, part of it is to try to control um, these trade routes because of how valuable they are. One of the interesting things that they talk about here is that a single trader does not make this whole trip. Um, Someone from Suzhou would trade to Nanjing, from Nanjing to the next city, and so on down the line. And really, a trader is only going back and forth one leg of the journey. And every time it trades hands, they exchange goods, or they sell it for a little bit more than what they bought it for, and they make the journey back. And so each time it trades hands, it gets a little bit more and more expensive. So when the Europeans finally figure out that they can sail all the way around here, it's a very expensive trip, but they're able to buy it relatively cheap here, and then they're able to sail it all the way back and sell it for a lot of money, because while each one of these traders increases the price just a little bit each time, so everyone's making a little bit of money, when you buy it at the really cheap price and you sell it for the really, really expensive price, you're making tons of money. And so the Europeans are going to really, really push this angle eventually. It's going to take them a long time to figure this out. But this is also why Columbus was bankrolled, that somebody gave him money to try and figure out a way to get to China, because this is where a lot of the stuff is coming from. Now, a lot of the spices are also coming from around here too. Many of the spices are coming from south of here, either in India or the Spice Islands down here. But there's a lot of spices that China has access to as well. And all of those things are very valuable. Now, as China is doing all of this trade, they're also getting influences from other folks. Partly Buddhism. Buddhism is making its way to China, and it actually becomes way more important to the Chinese and the Koreans than it actually is in India. And that's because realistically, Buddhism is absorbed back into Hinduism. It kind of broke out, and then it influenced and then absorbed into Hinduism, kind of staying together. Buddhism is really more of a way of life in a lot of ways. You don't worship the Buddha. The Buddha isn't a god. The whole goal is to just release things from your life, and to not fret, to not try to desire things you can't have, to live a solid and a good life. And so it really goes great with Confucianism. In Japan, you see it paired with Christianity. So you'll have a lot of Christian Buddhists, and you'll see that in Korea as well, actually. But this, and I think in China as well, but not. I don't know if to the same extent. I'm not as familiar. I do know that Confucianism. Again, Confucianism is not. There's no God in Confucianism. It's a philosophy more than a religion. Buddhism is like half philosophy, half religion. So you could even have a Christian Buddhist who also believes in Confucianism, um, because Confucianism it doesn't contradict with a lot of those things. In fact, it goes well with. There's a reason why people thought that Confucianism influenced Jesus Christ, and and when you think about it from a secular point of view, as in a non-religious point of view, if goods and like silk can make it away from China all the way to the Middle East, right? Damascus, Antioch, Jerusalem's right here. Okay, if these goods can make their way over here, then the ideas like Confucianism and hey, let's treat people well and not let's be kind to poor people, that can make its way over there too. Now, I personally think that what the message of Jesus is a little bit more complex than that, but but of course, you can see the secular point of view of it's possible that there was some influence there. But I also, that's something that's open to personal opinion. We don't have any facts on that, and I'm not going to even try to, force any kind of belief on that. So let's see. The other thing I want to talk about, this is a little misleading. It says the spices shown here, including cinnamon, coriander, pepper, in ancient times. Before refrigeration, these and other spices were used to mask the flavor of food that had spoiled. Well, yes and no. Most of these spices weren't used to mask the flavor of bad food that had spoiled. They were used to keep food from spoiling. Okay, pepper, salt, coriander, even cinnamon, all of these things, if you use enough of them, garlic too, actually, garlic is an antibacterial. All of these things prolong the life of food. So if you just shove tons of garlic or tons of pepper or tons of salt into some meat, okay, and then dry it out, you're going to get beef jerky, essentially, okay? Something that specifically doesn't go bad very easily. A lot of these spices were used to dry out and to flavor food and to keep it longer. Peppers and stuff like that. So one thing to keep in mind when we're talking about flavorings, that black pepper and Szechuan pepper, and white pepper too, actually, are all from the same family. Szechuan pepper is a really hot spice that comes from the Sichuan region of China. And these are the native spices to Asia. Okay, when traditional Indian cuisine used spices, it used peppers like black pepper, white pepper, or maybe even Szechuan if they somehow got a hold of it. When the Renaissance happens and when folks discover the New World and they start moving things over, one of the things they bring over is peppers, like hot peppers, bell peppers, and jalapenos, and all kinds of, usually red chili peppers are going to be the big one that makes the biggest splash. But those peppers are going to radically alter the cuisine of the area. Potatoes becomes really big, specifically in India, in their curries and stuff. Lots of different foods end up changing the cuisine. So it's one of those things where it's like, Italian cuisine we think of as, pastas, noodly pastas. Well, noodles came from China, and a lot of those pasta sauces, tomatoes, came from the New World. So their cuisine now, radically different than what traditional cuisine, Italian cuisine would have been during Rome. Time of Rome, the Italian cuisine would have been very, very similar to that of Greece. Okay. I think that's all I really needed to go over here. This stuff's kind of interesting. I don't think it's too, you know, needs any extra explanation. So I'll just leave it there. Have a good one, my dudes.